Once Removed is the latest episode in the current series, Series 4 of Inside Number 9, by Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton. It's an episode that involves a family moving home. Now, what's special about this episode is it's told from the end backwards. So you get little 10-minute segments of the plot, and it just flashes back to 10 minutes before, 10 minutes before, 10 minutes before. This has you thinking one thing about the characters. So initially you think that someone is a housewife and another person is a husband, and then you see something happen, and then it flashes back and you get a bit more explanation about who those characters are and how they fit into the plot, and you find out that they might not necessarily be who you think they are. This goes on and you're introduced to different characters. Initially you get the removals man, played by Nick Moran, who you don't see on telly enough, and this reminds you is a good, solid actor that's got this sort of everyman appeal. It's a shame really that he sort of stopped with Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. I mean, he floats around in sort of British gangster films and that, but really I think he's wasted on those. He could quite happily fit into a number of other dramas or comedy roles on the telly. He's just one of those blokes. I quite like the way he acts. You get Amelia Fox in it. She plays a housewife. Obviously, Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton are in it as possibly a husband, possibly not, and an estate agent. I don't want to reveal too much about the plot, or it totally ruins the whole episode for you, because the key with this kind of episode is thinking one thing and then being surprised that another thing happens, or it wasn't quite as you understood it, and they play with that a couple of times with certain characters throughout the episode. A lot of people liken this to Memento because of its structure, and in a way they're right, but it's not the first time that this technique was used in entertainment, or rather I should say in a half-hour comedy show. Before Memento there was an episode of Seinfeld that I remember where it followed the same format. You started at a wedding and people had various problems and issues, and then you would jump back through the episode. They did a few more jumps in the Seinfeld episode and jumped over different periods of time, but the same structure and the same method was used throughout. So really it's not anything to do with Memento, because it fits better with a 30-minute comedy episode. It really refers back to Seinfeld, and both did it equally well. Obviously Seinfeld's a little more on the comedy side, whereas this has got a little more of a darker element to it, as is with the Inside Number 9 series. Again, very well written, lots of clever little bits to play with throughout the time scale that the episode's over, so you see certain things and you wonder whether they have certain meanings, and there's little bits dropped in there that if they were being a bit more careless they wouldn't necessarily point to or deal with, but they take the time to actually address in this, and the keen-eyed people among you will be able to spot when certain elements of the set and the scenery change as a result of actions that occur. It's incredibly well acted. All of the actors do really well in their roles, and they're only small roles because of the way that the episode is written and structured, but they're all very, very convincing. I find it very enjoyable. It's not my favourite of the series. I still think that's the Bernie Clifton's dressing room one, but it shows that this series has been on a more consistent keel than some previous series, and I hope it continues that way as well. I'm not sure how many episodes are planned for this series off the top of my head, and whether or not there might be another special at Christmas come out, but so far really good series, really enjoying it. And if you've got your own views on the episode, or you think that that type of format was used prior to Seinfeld, which is in the mid-90s, let me know, because I'll be interested to find out, because I like knowing those kind of things.